There are a lot of shifts happening right now, and energy is always in motion. Things are always changing. Right now, particularly, there's something so fascinating about this energy shift. And I'm seeing and noticing that this shift is adding a huge contribution to the overall ascension of the planet. And anyone that is aware of what's going on in the world can see it or can sense it in one way or the other. How does what you're experiencing fit into the larger puzzle? How does what's happening in the world fit into what's going to change eventually? When are we going to reach that point where equality is at play and where there's more freedom, more self-sovereignty, where we can kind of go back to some sense of normalcy in a way that is not the previous few years, but rather a time of no chaos, no war, no disruption, just living. I want to be able to provide some insight for you all as to what's happening and to also help provide a little bit more clarity into this energy shift. We have all signed up to be here. Now, take what resonates with this. You know, you don't have to take this message in particular, but as soon as you become more aware of your journey in a level that is kind of like you're awake, like your consciousness has expanded, you're recognizing that there's something so much deeper about your life besides waking up, going to work for 8 hours, coming home, and sleeping and then repeat, right? Like that, you realize that there's more to that sort of cycle. If you are catching this video, it's probably because you're resonating with the fact that there's something more than just that cycle, which was probably what you and most of society has been programmed to believe is the only option available. To follow a particular route, that is the route to success, that is the route of life. And then, most of the time when we become adults, we start to find out that there's so much more along the way because we have these different experiences that were not taught to us in school. How could they have been? I mean, in some shape or form they may have and they should be, but at some point in time it is experience that teaches us what we need to know. And so here we are, and you're probably curious about what's happening, what's going on, and how and where your little puzzle piece or your journey fits into this whole thing. Everyone that is here on the planet right now has signed up to be here at this time in history. Everything that you signed up for was to not only be aware of what was going to happen in the world today, but to also be here when you're learning certain lessons that you wanted to learn for your own infinite experience. Where you're at right now actually connects to the larger picture of life. Whoever resonates with this video should help you connect more deeply with your passion, with your purpose, why you're here, and hopefully allow you to understand kind of the bigger picture. Layer 1 is our first mission, which means it is correlated with the direct relationships that we have in our life. So this includes the people that are around us. This includes our jobs, our careers. Mission 1 is layer 1. It is the first mission, which is being experienced in the material world, which is always our present moment. So our first mission is to be in the present moment. The second mission that we all sort of agreed to experience is the collective mission, to be here on the planet at this time when things were going to be changing. Okay, so we weren't provided with the specific details about what would happen. Take what resonates with this message here, but it was sort of like themes. You will be able to communicate with people across space and time in many different nations. You will see the turn of events on the planet where evil will be exposed. You will be able to live a life more freely and more catered to growing expansion. So there's themes that are sort of given, things that are written. Layer 3, the third mission, what happens in your life plus what happens on the collective scale, which means in every single human being's life, contributes to the shift on the third layer. Layer 3 actually reveals the collective energetic shift that occurs as a response to layer 1 and layer 2 being a catalyst for it. The response to the first two missions, the first two layers, is really the masculine energy being amplified to anchor into the upper chakras, from the heart chakra by feeling, from the throat chakra by expressing emotion, by being okay with expressing and being vulnerable, into the third eye chakra and crown chakra by starting to anchor into the divine frequencies. Because for so long, the masculine energy, which has been so wounded on the planet, and I said this in a previous video already, we see that as a result with what's happening in the world. Collectively, there's a wounded masculine and a wounded feminine frequency. It's a wounded energy that is being purged now. And so the collective masculine frequency, which is just energy, think of it like yin and yang, right and left brain, the polarity. There's other slices in the pie, obviously, but this is energy we're talking about. So it's the polarity, the yin and yang. That shadow, essentially, the wounded masculine, is being encouraged to completely change the cycle, the generations that have passed, by anchoring into the upper energy centers through stronger connection and antenna with the divine. Essentially, the feminine energy is being encouraged to be firmer on boundaries, be more anchored into stability and strength in the physical, by actually anchoring into the lower chakras, the lower energy centers, starting from the heart down. Both the masculine and feminine energy are anchoring into the directions that they need to for this current life cycle that we're in the way that both energies start from the heart center space. Both energies need to heal the heart space, and then they anchor into the directions that they need to. So the feminine energy starts at the heart energy center as well. It's kind of like home base, right? And then it goes down into the lower energy centers, lower chakras, through the solar plexus, which rules a lot of like emotion, self-worth, the sacral, which is the womb space. It rules a lot of that sense of pleasure as well as expression. And then of course into the root chakra, which kind of builds that stability, that foundation of strength, of trust, removing the fear and actually feeling comfortable and safe and okay in this current experience that we're living in the material world, if you will. The feminine energy is a gateway between the divine and the physical world anyways, but now the feminine energy is being encouraged to stay into the lower energy centers, to really ground into the space of truly feeling safe in the material, whereas the masculine energy is being called to rise up into a stronger connection, stepping away from those stigmas of the past that claimed that those things were signs of weakness, and therefore anchoring into a sense of really opening that third eye energy center and connecting with the divine. These two sort of energies that play off of each other, the yin and the yang that's happening, the light and the shadow that's creating a dance on our planet right now, is the third energy layer, the third mission, to be here when the energies are finally getting stabilized. As we step out of the 3 layers of our mission, we start to see how that affects the astrology of the world that we're in. So the moon is known to be a feminine kind of energy, whereas the sun has been known to have a masculine frequency to it. There are, of course, other slices to the pie, and that is sort of being intermingled into our awareness of multidimensionality, that labels that exist in the physical are not what exist outside of this earth plane. But as we start to understand more about these frequencies, we are in a duality based world, so that yin and yang, light and dark, that half and half is going to play out still in the world that we're in, and it's playing out through our awareness of the sun, the moon, and the star. The star is the other slices of the pie, and there's billions and trillions of stars in our sky, right? Here's what's interesting. I talked about how the wounded masculine frequency on the planet is collapsing. It means that we're seeing the systems around us start to reveal the truth about where we're at. Politics, our education system, our healthcare system, things that need to be improved around here. Many of us can see it because nothing has really changed for so long. But now it is changing, and that's what we've recognized over the last few years. The last few years have revealed the corona experience. Corona actually means sun. It is like the rim of the sun, the ring of the sun, okay? If corona is synonymous with the word sun, and we know that the sun is a masculine frequency, and the masculine frequency on the planet, the wounded frequency, is collapsing, then we see how those two things relate. It's sort of like what is happening with the astrology with our sun, what is happening outside of our planet is sort of, in a way, correlating as a pattern with what we see in the 3D world. And because we're at the age of Aquarius at this point, the feminine frequency is being encouraged to step forward in society as a more nurturing frequency in the physical world, which brings more harmony, more peace, more of that motherly energy. This is what's really unique about taking what we have learned for so long, what we know about ourselves, and seeing the bigger picture of how everything connects with the other. It sort of brings a peace of mind and ability to trust that there are no coincidences, that everything happens for a reason, and that there is a meaning and depth to what you are experiencing, what you go through, what you think about, you know? And hopefully when you have that sort of trust and awareness of that connection, that there's so much more bigger going on than what we're seeing in the physical, but we still get to have fun and play in the physical. We still get to enjoy this experience because it's our first priority, it's our first mission. Then you appreciate more, even when the chaos is disruptive and uncomfortable and leaves a lot of room for fear or scarcity. Even trust and believe and remind yourself that, again, what narrative do you want to entertain? What storyline do you want to engage with? Because ultimately you have the opportunity in this experience to observe, appreciate, feel, learn, appreciate, and repeat, to literally allow yourself to just be. And that's all you have to do. That's all you really need to do at this time. Everything else will unfold naturally. So I hope that this message served you all. I hope that it added value and that you were able to receive clarity. If you'd like to book a psychic reading, you can click the link in my bio. I send you all so much love. And until next time, collective, go and grow.